Hey, I'm Stephanie, and today I am getting ready using the teeny tiny makeup bag that you saw in my most recent makeup bag video, which I will link in the show notes in case you missed it. This makeup has prepared me for a whole range of situations over the past couple of months. Holiday parties, vacation days with the family, running errands, moving house, and just sprucing myself up for a couple of videos. Basically, there were days where I cared a lot and days where I barely cared at all about my makeup, and I have been surprised at the range in this tiny bag. So this Get Ready With Me is at its heart about what it's like to live with fewer options and whether that feels freeing or suffocating to a makeup maximalist like myself. So let's dive right in. We are going to start with my Complexion palette, which is made up of a whole bunch of different things. And I think I want to start with the green color corrector in here because I'm experiencing some redness on my cheeks, and this is going to do most of the work to get rid of that. I'm going for a very relaxed, low coverage look today. I have a very low stakes day face-wise, so that's what I am going to do today. That's what most of my days have been like recently, and I knew that it was going to be that way, which is part of the reason why I only really packed skin tints. And I realize this probably looks a little bit freaky when you first put it on, but this is the Salt New York Olive Sneaky Balm. It's a color corrector, and I find that this color just kind of really cancels out the redness without leaving too much green on my face. I've tried some different colors, like some of the more lighter minty white-based ones, and they can look a little bit like I've got toothpaste on my face or like I'm going gray in the face. And this one, I mean, as you can see, it looks a little bit weird going on, but I do find that it kind of soaks into the skin and just neutralizes that redness really well. And there have been days where I have literally just left the house only wearing this, just to kind of tone down the redness as much as I could. And then that was it. So this is, by the way, something that I received in PR, but it is the sort of thing that I've been using enough that I think I would definitely repurchase it with my own money. And I've been getting red up here too. I don't know if it's just the extreme cold. My skin has been getting a little bit dry. It's a little bit irritated. I feel like the winter weather is just a bit much for it, which happens every year. So it's not surprising, but it does mean I have to give it a little bit of extra loving care when I'm applying my makeup. And I've even got redness on my chin now. Pretty soon I'm just going to turn into a big old strawberry head. I have a little bit of pinkness out here too. All right, now the question is, what do I want to do next? Because the Salt New York Sneaky Balm is one of my favorite skin tints. I think it's great, but it doesn't have a very long wear time. I'd say I get about 6 hours of wear out of it where it's, looking great and it's doing its thing. But like around the 6 hour mark, it starts to fade. And the good thing about it is it fades gracefully. The bad thing about it is it does go away. And so I've been wanting to test the Best Case Concealer as a foundation and then see how long it wears. So maybe today's the perfect day to do that because I haven't done it yet. And I do like the Best Case Concealer, but it also is, as you can see even in the pan, has a dewier, shinier formula. And so I'm wondering if that's better for me right now anyway, since I'm dealing with so much redness and dryness. I think maybe the dewier formula might be even better. The Sneaky Balm is usually fine for me even when I have dry skin, but I'm just wondering, I think we're gonna try the Best Case Concealer. So before we do that, I am going to use the Best Case Concealer formula of the color corrector. I also have my Charlotte Tilbury with me, but because we're kind of doing a full complexion of Salt New York, we might as well use this. Plus my under eyes are also dry. And this formula is dewier and a little bit more, I don't know if it's more hydrating, but it's definitely dewier. So we're gonna test that out as well. So I just place it on my palette. And then I'm just going to use my fingers to do this as well. I've been doing a lot of finger painting lately. I adore good makeup brushes, I have to say, like I really do. But every once in a while, it's just fun to get my fingers in there and just really play. And also, especially when it's so cold like it has been here, I feel like sometimes it helps the products go on a little bit better just because they're warming up to my body temperature with my finger. And I just like the application. Like, I think this is going on really nicely, but I've also always liked it with a brush. So it's just kind of whatever I'm in the mood for, but I just feel like this is more my speed today. I'm wondering how much coverage I want to do with this, because I'm also going to be applying some concealer over it, so I think I want to keep this layer pretty thin. And then I think I need to dig out just a little bit more. But I really like to get into that inner corner, because that's where most of my darkness is like right from like here to here. It just adds a little bit of brightness in there, especially because my eyes are relatively close together. So I like to kind of expand the space between them visually with a little bit of brightness. I just feel like that suits my face really well. Okay, now that we have everything color corrected, I'm going to go in with the Best Case Concealer in shade, I think this is N12 from Salt New York. And do I want to do this all with my fingers? Because it's kind of a large space. Maybe we'll start with my fingers, and if I feel like it's getting too tedious, we'll move on to a brush. I'm gonna cover up this vein here too. And by the way, all of the Complexion products that I have here from Salt New York did come to me in PR a long time ago, but they've kind of become a staple for me since then, which is why they managed to make it into this makeup bag that has to last me for almost 3 months, really. And that's the sort of thing, like, you're only going to put things in that makeup bag that you're genuinely going to use and that are going to be really helpful for you over that period of time. So I think that's like a true test of whether or not something's like roadworthy. If you know it's roadworthy and you know you can take it when you travel and that you're going to get a lot of use out of it and it's going to get the job done, then it's worthy of the collection. So I ended up being really happy that I brought this with me. We have managed to stay warm and relatively dry as long as we stayed inside here. How has the weather been with you? Are you dealing with some winter woes? Because I know that some parts of the country got a whole lot of snow and ice and freezing rain and all sorts of not so fun stuff. We lucked out here, although the kids were playing in the snow yesterday. It's been pretty boring here. The schools are still closed because it's really icy on the roads. And I had an appointment to get my hair cut. And I was so looking forward to it because I have not had my hair cut in a long time. And that was a Christmas present from some family members because I was going to skip it. Because I ended up buying the House Labs foundation for reasons that I'll get into in another video. But I ended up buying that foundation and I didn't budget for it. And so in order to compensate for that, because budgeting is flexible, you know, like when you make a budget, that doesn't mean you have to hold to it 100%, but it does mean that it's a guideline that you have to work hard to stick to. And because I spent more money on the House Labs foundation, I had to find something else that I was planning on buying that I had budgeted for that I wasn't going to get. And so that for me was going to be a haircut. And I was like, I can live without a haircut because for the most part, like when my hair needs to look nice nowadays, I've been wearing wigs just because I've been so stiff in my joints recently that doing my hair has become really painful. And so when you're wearing wigs, it's like, it doesn't matter if your bio hair looks perfect because, you know, I'm not really styling it that much. But some of my family members prefer my bio hair, which I get. And, you know, I would like to make it look nice for them, even if I'm just doing simple things with it. So I was going to get a haircut and then I decided not to. And then my family decided that they would give me a haircut for Christmas. So I had an appointment. I was all excited. I was going to get my hair cut today. And everywhere around here is just ice. Just like, and I can deal with driving in snow because I grew up in New England, but ice is a different matter. Like, unless you've got chains on your tires, like, especially when it's like hilly, there's no way I'm going to drive in that because I don't want to wreck the car over a hair appointment. All right. So we've got one side of my face with the Best Case concealer and the other side of my face with nothing. And I feel like it looks really natural. Like, it's a really thin layer, but I feel like it's doing what I wanted it to do. It's just kind of evening out things so that they're not quite as apparent. You know, like I have a little, vein right here and some little spots and things. And I can still see them all, but I just feel like it's almost like there's a filter over them. And for me, that's what I usually want my complexion makeup to do. I don't normally want it to create a mask. I want it to just kind of, I don't know, make everything even enough that the eye just isn't drawn towards things like redness or spots or veins. But, there's nothing wrong with looking like I have skin. There's nothing wrong with spots. Like, I have some spots here that I've had ever since I was a kid. They're freckles, I guess. It's just that I don't have many freckles, so they kind of stood out. I always had these this one little spot of freckles on my face. And, I don't mind when people see those. I think they're kind of cute. They're part of who I am. But depending on the kind of look I'm trying to create, sometimes I feel like that pop of faint color there can be a distraction. Sometimes it's a boon having that there, but it just depends on, the shapes and the looks and the colors and stuff that I'm using and trying to create. But on a day like today where I'm just doing normal, everyday, boring makeup, I just feel like, I don't know, being able to see my real skin texture and color and blemishes and all, it's just kind of, I don't know, it just feels more like luxury sweatpants. Like when I wear this, that's what this formula is to me. That's what Salt New York is to me. It's like the elevated sweatpants, the luxury lounge wear of makeup. That's what I'm going for today, a very luxury lounge wear sort of day. So yeah, this is taking a pretty long time just doing it with my fingers just because there's a lot of space to cover. But I have the time today. And if you've been watching me for a while, I love drawing out the makeup process because it's my moment of zen. It's just a quiet time that I get to spend just kind of thinking my thoughts and doing nothing. It's just very relaxing. So if I were in a hurry though, I would be using a brush because this would just take too long. But on a day like today where I have a little bit of time to dedicate towards applying my makeup and relaxing a little bit, this is fine. Get in touch with the contours of my face again. So the complexion is now complete and I have to decide what I want to do next. And it's funny because you wouldn't think that I have options in a tiny bag like this, but I feel like I have so many options. I think the next thing I'm going to do is brows. So I'm going to go into this IT Cosmetics travel bag that I got as a Christmas gift from family members. And I am going to pull out this little brow brush. It's got just this angled brush here and a spoolie. And when I look at this, this is officially the Flawless Liner Brow Brush. And it looks like it's going to be fairly easy to use, but it's not the thinnest brush I've ever used. So I'm just going to try that out today. And what I'm going to use as my product is actually this palette here. This is my Danessa Myricks Travel Palette. I've got the Groundworks Defining Neutrals here and the Groundwork Blooming Romance here. And I'm going to go into this palette here, some of the pomades to do my brows, and we're going to see how this brush works. And the reason I decided to use this today instead of the brow pencil I brought is because I have more time. Brow pencils for me are ideal when I'm in a hurry because I can just kind of, scrape them on and then go. But I feel like with things like this, with pomades, I need a little bit more time, like with a brush. And because I have that time today, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to scrape a little bit of this one here. I think this is probably the color Stone, but I don't really remember. That's the one disadvantage of not having the whole palette here. I can't see the exact color names, but I think I also want to add some of this color as well. I'm gonna mix these two together on my palette. What I like about this pomade formula is it's not super pigmented, so I'm like not intimidated by it. But I always feel like I have to concentrate when I do brows and liner. This I didn't mix so well on the palette. It's like coming out a little bit chunky. I don't normally have that problem, so I think it's a me error. I don't know if you could see there was like a little particle of pomade hanging out in my brow. So I'm just gonna spoolie it just to make sure there's no chunks of pomade left, but that's actually, you know, pretty easy. Part of me is tempted to dip into the bag that I brought specifically for makeup content because I really like a brow gel, like a tinted brow gel to go over something like this because I like using a pomade or a pencil because it gives me that definition, but because my brow hairs are naturally so light, I feel like you don't really see the individual hairs. So what I would like to do is kind of go in there with a tinted brow gel and kind of add some definition to the brow hairs. But because I want to stick with just this makeup bag, that's what I'm going to do. And also, that's not something I'm always concerned with. The reason I'm a little concerned with it today is because I'm sitting here in front of my magnifying mirror. I have a whole bunch of time. And normally when I have time, I want to, you know, check out all of the details and I want to do all the things and take all the steps because they're all so much fun. But to be honest, I feel like this gives me the definition and the face framing that I need from a brow product. So it's just me being picky. Yeah, I feel like this brush is working well. If I had been using a more pigmented pomade, I think it might have been a challenge for me just because it is thicker. And when I'm going in with a really pigmented brow product, then I would want to kind of, you know, go in and really flatten out that brush and then try to paint in hair-like strokes. But instead, I'm just using the pomade to kind of shade in where my brow is, almost like giving my hairs a backdrop. But then I have a nice soft face frame right there. Next, I want to go in with the Blooming Romance side of this little palette and use these for blush. And I think I'm going to try the pomade together with this brush just to see what happens. This is actually the Seamless Foundation brush from that same travel set that I got. And I think I'm going to mix a couple because I feel like this one, maybe I'll start with this and see how deep it is because it looks a little bit pale and perhaps a little dusty in the pan, but colors often look different on me, on my face, than they do in the pan. So normally, the reason that you don't see a whole lot of scrape marks in these pomade pans is because normally what I'll do is I'll use Fix Plus and I'll spray them and then I'll go in with a brush. And I really like how they apply that way, but I forgot to bring my Fix Plus with me. Because I was packing in such a small travel bag. I was originally going to put that in my toiletries bag, but I don't know, never got around to it. And here we are. I'm now here with no Fix Plus. So instead, I'm using it dry, which honestly also always works. I just am used to using it in a different way. But I'm going to see how this goes into the brush. Right now it's flaking a little bit, but I've got some on the brush and we'll see how this applies. And I usually bring it up in here just because I feel like that, I don't know, it creates like a more natural look when everything kind of flows one into the other. That's actually, I think, really nice. It's like a barely there blush, but if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm very into barely there. It's funny because one of the little ones has taken to guessing whether I'm wearing makeup or not because a lot of times she can't tell. Like she knows if I'm wearing like really dramatic makeup, she knows immediately that I'm wearing it. But some days she's like, "Are you wearing makeup?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What do you think?" And she has to guess. And I really like it when I am wearing makeup and she can't tell because she has sharp eyes. But my goal is often to look like I'm not wearing any makeup. But the reason that she suspects that I'm wearing it is because my redness isn't as apparent. So I think I'm gonna just apply a little bit more of that same color because I do actually really like what it's doing. I like that barely there-ness of it. Barely there-ness. My new word for the year. Although I hear color is making a comeback and 2016 makeup is trending again, which I have to say I'm not sad about. I'm perfectly happy if 2016 makeup wants to come back. What do you feel like is happening in your own life? Do you feel like 2016 makeup never left? Do you feel like 2016 makeup is insane and if it came back, you would go crazy? Or would you look forward to it? I don't know. I'm kind of down for whatever happens because I notice that I don't consciously follow a lot of the trends because I usually base makeup on like what's actually going on in my life and like what I have to do for the day. So, I mean, for the stage, I've been doing 2016 makeup for a while because I feel like a lot of those techniques, I mean, they came from drag, they came from the stage. So I feel like I never left it behind in that sense. But in my everyday life, I guess I have been wearing like less apparent makeup. Although I'm not sure if that's a trend or if that's just something I've always liked. And as I've gotten better at makeup, I've gotten better at kind of making it look like it's one with my skin. I don't really know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. It's kind of like the chicken or the egg. It's like, what came first, the trend or my change in taste? And it's kind of hard for me to tell. And do I want to contour or bronze at all? I have the possibilities here. I think I am going to bronze a little bit. Yes, I am. So I am going to take some of this shade here and some of this shade here and just a little bit of this. And I'm going to see what that does. And I've still probably got some of that blush on the brush, but I'm not going to be too picky about it today because I'm not really trying to go in and do like a super bronzed look. I just kind of want to add a little bit of color back because I am getting pretty pale. I do still have some of my summer tan left though because I can still see my tan lines. So it's crazy. I forget how pale I actually am because my tan lasts so long after the summer is over. And part of me always feels a little bit bad that I'm so tan, but it's not like I'm, out there sunbathing. It's just, I don't know. It's just what happens when you live your life. My whole stance on the sun is I'm not going to worry about it. Like I wear sunscreen and I just started using the DNA repair enzymes. And I am going to be posting my results of my 3-month test using them. But to be honest, the goal of me using those was not to see any visible changes in my skin. I just want to see if there are any changes. But the goal of that is just to kind of help protect me because I know that I have spent so much time in the sun and I know that that puts me at risk for a lot of things. And so I'm just trying to use preventative skincare to the best of my ability. And I've been using sunscreen for years. I've been using hats and UV protective clothing and big, huge sunglasses and umbrellas for years. But it's apparently not enough because I still get so tan that even, 6 months later, I can still see my tan lines. So I think that means that I really need to be diligent about my skincare. But that Photozyme DNA repair enzyme product that I bought a couple months ago and I've been trying, I've really been liking it. And so I will definitely do a full update on it once my 3-month testing period is over, just so I can really get my full thoughts together for you. And I think I want to go in with a contour too, because I'm a big fan of contour. I think I'm actually going to go into my specific contouring products for that instead of the Danessa Myricks, just because nose contour can get really wonky really fast. I don't know which one I want to use. I think I'm going to go in with the Kevyn Aucoin. I think it's in Tone. And the reason I want to use that is because the formula is a little bit more radiant. And because my skin is so dry, I just feel like this is the time of year where if I'm going to use a radiant product on the center of my face with oily combination skin, then now is the time to do it when I'm at my driest. The question is, which brush am I going to use? Let's see, is there anything in this set that will be defined enough? I think we're going to use the smoothing concealer brush, which I have not yet tried on concealer, but I'm interested in because I think the shape is really nice. But I think this is going to be, it has kind of like a thinner tip, so I think it'll be better for doing my nose contour. I think I'm going to take just a little bit of it up here since I still have some on the palette. Just contour my eye a little bit. Because this comes down, you know, so far forward that if I just use a little bit of darkness there, I feel like it pushes it back just a bit. Doesn't need to be much, especially if I don't want it to look smoky, which I don't. Okay, but yeah, I'm happy with that. And maybe since I still have some left over, I'll just paint in a little bit of a jawline here since my face appears to be melting. I don't know what's happening lately. I feel like my whole body is changing shape. And, you know, some women have mentioned to me that most of them say that they're in their 70s that make these comments, but they're just like, perimenopause is just a part of aging. I don't understand like why you're making such a big deal out of it. I'm not trying to overly dramatize it, but the reality is that there's like a whole spectrum that people experience of perimenopause. Some people like don't experience anything, like they have a really easy transition. For example, my mom had a pretty easy transition. So I don't know why I'm not, but my aunt had a really difficult transition. And even now that she's in menopause and been there for a while, she's still really struggling. And so, you know, these women are like, oh, it's just part of aging, get over it. I'm like, it is part of aging, but you know, there are things that we can do to mitigate it and make it seem better and to deal with the issues. And the more we talk about them, the more people who are experiencing problems can find the solutions that they need. So that's why I talk about it, not because I think it's trendy or cool or I want to be overly dramatic just about normal aging processes, but because I feel like it's something that we can talk about. For example, I just learned something really interesting. Another thing I got for Christmas was a blood glucose monitor. You know, you're in your mid-40s when you're thrilled at getting a blood glucose monitor for the holidays. But that's what I got, and I have been wearing it, and it's been really eye-opening to me, you know, like how my behaviors affect my blood sugar, especially since I learned that one of the biggest factors that will predict whether or not your menopausal transition will be easy or not is how high your A1C is, so how high your blood sugar is. And I've been having issues with blood sugar lately. So learning that taught me that, oh my gosh, if I can control my blood sugar, maybe I can control my symptoms. And it turns out I'm noticing a correlation. When I choose foods and activities that keep my blood sugar stable, I have fewer perimenopausal symptoms. And like this is information that I wish I had had earlier, because had I known this, I could have been looking out for this years ago and my transition might have been so much easier. And I'm noticing that it's making a lot of my symptoms better now. And so I'm not a medical professional. You should not take medical advice from me at all, but I'm just speaking from personal experience that I heard that your blood sugar levels can impact how hard your menopausal transition is. And I have personally noticed a correlation between my blood sugar levels on a daily basis with this glucose monitor and my symptoms. So it's eye-opening to me. I feel like a veil has been lifted and it's really interesting. And now I have totally carved out a jawbone that does not exist anymore. And I'm wondering if that's too much, but I don't have like my normal mirror set up here, so it's kind of hard to see. I might be walking around with some like line on my jaw. It's going to be really embarrassing. But you know what? The only people that will see me are my family and some incredibly brutally honest children. So I will hear about it if there's a line here. But because the lighting here, I'm still not used to it. I still don't have a mirror situation that I'm really satisfied with. So I'm just going to have to hope for the best here. Now we come to the real decision. What eyeshadows do I want to use? Because I brought so many really pretty ones. I've had this same dilemma every single day. It's like I brought too many choices. They're all so good. In my Complexion palette, I also put a couple of my favorite cream eyeshadows. I've got my Chanel Undertone, but I forgot my Fix Plus, so I haven't really been using that because it needs Fix Plus for me to really work. I have Tom Ford Young Adonis, Tom Ford Naked Bronze, and the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in the shade Exaggerize. And it is so hard for me to choose which one I actually want to use today because I also have the Danessa Myricks palettes, which are also great eyeshadows, but that would be more of a matte look. Or then if I want some sparklies, I also have the Natasha Denona Golden palette or my homemade Makeup by Mario Nature palette. This is the cover version that I made from it with my own single shadows. And I don't know. It's like every time I look at, I want to use every single one that I look at. So which one do I want to do? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo? You know what? We're going to do a little bit of everything. We are going to start off with a base of cream shadow, and we're going to use Tom Ford Naked Bronze for that because I feel like that's good. I also brought this little envelope. It's from Sonia G with some brushes in it, and some of them are from Sonia G, but some of them are other brushes. So let's see if we have a good shape in here. And right away, I see a brush that I always like to use for cream eyeshadow. This is the Esom V27. I really like this for cream eyeshadows. It's, I think, maybe one of my favorite brushes, especially when I'm spraying them with Fix Plus first. I just feel like it does a really great job of evenly placing everything. But I'm not going to spray this shadow today. I'm just going to apply it out here. I feel like this Naked Bronze shadow, I'm so sad that it got discontinued because it's like the perfect shade of bronze for me. It doesn't turn orange on my skin. At the same time, it's not too cool. For example, Auric makes a very similar shadow to this, but from every swatch I've ever seen, every comparison, it just looks like it's a tad bit cooler than this. And I feel like nuance is so important when it comes to eyeshadow. Or when it comes to like skin tones and trying to contour. It's like just the slightest difference in warmth or coolness can really affect how it makes the eye look, how it makes the whole complexion look. But I like how this shade just kind of warms up the eye without turning it orange. I think that's good. And now part of me really wants to go in with the Exaggerize shade from Charlotte Tilbury on the lid because it's really sparkly. But part of me also really wants to use my homemade Makeup by Mario palette. I like that green shade. I'm constantly drawn towards it. This is from the Natasha Denona palette. Which palette is it from again? I constantly forget. I'll take it out and look. I wrote all the names on the back so that I'd be able to put them back into the right palettes. Okay, this is from the Yucca palette, and it is the Komorebi shade. So I think I'm going to use that on my lid. I'm just going to press it in with my finger. It's got almost no base to it, so it's just really easy for someone like me to wear. Because wow, do I love green, but wow, am I shy when it comes to color. So I feel like this is mostly sparkle, and they're tiny sparkle particles, which I like. I feel like that just suits me better. I brought my Urban Decay primer potion, but I cannot find it anywhere. I don't know where it went. I don't know if it fell into a crevice somewhere here in the house. I cannot find it for the life of me. And I'm refusing to buy a new one because the second I go out and buy a replacement, I will find it. So I've been living without eyeshadow primer, which means all of my eyeshadow has been creasing lately, but I'm just dealing with it because I just want to find that primer. The eyeliner in my bag is the Clinique Black Honey High Impact Gel Tech Eyeliner. And I'm just gonna try to use this sparingly. concentrating most of it on the outer corner of my eye and at the lash line. I've actually been surprisingly disappointed with this eyeliner. I was really excited to start using it because my friend who gave it to me also gave it to me like in a set with the Black Honey mascara. And so I was really excited to have a liner that was the exact same color as the mascara, especially because, you know, it gives the illusion, I feel like, of thicker lashes. But this hasn't been all that creamy, and so it kind of like breaks up and it gets a little chunky and it's hard to get like a really defined line. Whereas with other gel liners, I'm able to get one. So I have to say, like, I'm really not that impressed with the Clinique High Impact Gel Tech eyeliners, at least not in this color. I feel like it's just very stiff. So I am regretting my decision to bring this with me just a little bit. But the color is nice. And it does work well with the mascara. I'm just not able to get as thin of a line as I want to with it. So I don't know that this is actually going to come home with me. I think I might see if someone else wants this, although I'm not sure anybody's going to really want the chunky nature of it. Although I do know that my mom tends to like this formula. I've seen her buy it in the past. So maybe she'll want it. Like, I'm not sure how much detail the camera is picking up, but I'm trying to go in right at the lash line like I do with my other gel liners. And it's like little chunks of this come off and they rub off on the rest of the lid. So it ends up just making a much thicker line than I want. I don't know. My other gel liners, like the Urban Decay 24/7, the Kiko Milano, those eyeliners, I feel like they all play nicely. But this one, like even the Pat McGrath plays nicer than this. Like, I'm not crazy about that one because it transfers on me, but it goes on really well. Like, it doesn't do this thing. Like, I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but perhaps you can see it's almost like a crayon on paper instead of like a smooth thing. You've got these like a little bit of texture there. Then I'm going to top it with the mascara and hope that it looks better. And I have been liking the mascara a lot. I'm going to be very, very sad when this has to go at the end of the month. See, once the mascara is on, I feel like it's a little bit better. It all looks a little bit more unified. And who knows, like maybe that more organic textured look is contributing to the fluffiness of the lashes. Maybe it contributes to that illusion. So maybe I'm being too picky about something that doesn't really matter. I feel like that eyeliner left fallout. I don't know that I've ever really gotten fallout from eyeliner before, but here we are. And for the lip, I don't know what I want to do with this. Let's see, this is looking very boring, not a whole lot of color. And so I'm wondering if maybe a nude brown would be good. In that case, the Gucci lipstick would be where it's at. So this is option 1. I think that would look good, but would this look a little bit fresher? This is a little bit, this is very sheer. Let's see, we're gonna try one on one half of the lip, one on the other. This is, I think, Damasi Beauty, and it's, I think, like their dupe for Black Honey, but it's not quite as intense as Black Honey. I feel like it's the muted version of it, and I really like it. So we could go with that, or we could go with Gucci, what is this, Lynette Stone. Can you tell I haven't eaten yet? Could you hear my stomach growl? I'll be interested to hear if the microphone picks that up. What do I want to do? Like the Lynette Stone from Gucci just looks more nude, whereas this brings a little bit more color to my face. I don't know. What do you think? I think both of them could work really well. I think I am about to eat. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. This is the Damasi in, I think it's the shade Black Candy. And the reason I'm going to take this off is because somehow I had a travel atomizer of one of my favorite summer perfumes. It's still in my bag and it somehow leaked into this lipstick. And so now this smells like Karaoke Heart by Juicebox, which is a smell I adore. So I don't have a problem with the fact that it smells like that. But if I eat while I have this on, I can taste the Karaoke Heart, which is mango-y. So I'm not sure that I want to have mango with my breakfast today. So I'm going to go with the Gucci, which is also quite fragrant, but it's, I don't know, it fades more into the background when I eat. So that my choice is strictly based on fragrance today. But this one feels so nice. It looks so nice. It's so easy to wear. Lynette Stone. I have 2 colors in this formula because I really like it. I took my hair down, but there's one last step that I always forget to do, and that's to remove the makeup from the back of my hand when I'm like dabbing things or swatching things. So I'm taking this little alcohol wipe and I am just getting rid of the sparkles and the colors and the liner. I'm going to take the other side of this and I'm going to wipe down my palette. I typically will do this after I finish doing my makeup, just so that if the palette falls on the floor, it's not going to get any makeup on the carpet or anything. And then before I do my makeup, I also disinfect my palette and my spatula with an alcohol wipe just to make sure that everything is staying clean, because makeup does expire. But one of the things that I have found is that since I have started disinfecting my makeup and not necessarily sticking my brushes directly into it, I do feel that it lasts longer, and I'm all for that. But one thing I'm noticing about using the alcohol wipes, especially in the cold weather, is my hands have become extremely dry. And one of the ways that I'm combating that is not actually with hand cream. I was never like a big hand cream person, but I enjoyed hand cream once in a while. Like, for example, my aunt gave me a set from L'Occitane like years ago, and so I used that and I really liked it. But I recently got a gift, another set of hand cream from L'Occitane for Christmas, and the scent is just overpowering to me now. And I know that as your hormones change, like when women get pregnant or, you know, any hormonal change can affect your sense of smell. And so I'm wondering if perimenopause is affecting mine, because those hand creams are blowing me away now. It's like I put them on my hands and even hours later, all I can smell is the hand cream. And it's just too much for me now. And so what I've started doing is just using my normal facial skincare on my hands. And I have noticed a massive change. Like, I feel like my skin on my hands has never looked better. So I'm just like, maybe, you know, because I've been using collagen serums and hyaluronic acid serums on my hands, they're starting to look better, and it is helping with the dryness. And one thing that I received in PR is this botanical elixir from Talova, and this I feel like has been the perfect solution for me, because you know how some facial moisturizers, like they smell like facial moisturizer? I don't know. It's like the whole industry got together and is like, facial moisturizer will always smell generically slightly floral. And I feel like a lot of the moisturizers that I'm decluttered smell like that. And what's nice about that is that they don't smell too strongly. So when I use them as a hand cream, I don't feel like I'm smelling them all day. I feel like the smell generally fades within just a few minutes. That aspect of it is good on the one hand, but I do think I miss a little bit of that scented aspect of the hand creams that I used to enjoy. It's just that the old ones are too overpowering for me, and I feel like this is a happy medium. Now, this is a botanical elixir. It's supposed to go on your face, and the only reason I haven't been putting it on my face is, number one, I'm in the midst of my great skin investigation, so I am trying to limit the new products that I put on my face. But second of all, it does have some essential oils in here, and because I do have rosacea, I'm a little bit worried about that. But I have to say, in the past, I feel like my rosacea was never triggered by those things, so I'm not sure if it's something I need to be concerned about, but I'm trying to be extra careful during this next year anyway. But because they sent this to me in PR and I wanted to give it a good try, I've been using it on my hands, and this has felt a little bit like that extra step of luxury that I was missing from the old hand creams, because not only is this lovely on the skin and it soaks in really quickly, but it also smells like a spa. And it's not so strong or long lasting that it's overpowering me and just too much. It's like just the right amount, and it makes me really happy. Like, I feel like the scent is very uplifting. There's, I think, neroli in here, a little bit of rosemary oil, some tangerine peel oil, like things like that. So it just smells natural and earthy. It doesn't smell like artificial fragrance. So I've really been liking that. And because I just used that alcohol wipe on my hand, I think I'm going to use 1, 2 drops, one for each hand, and I'm just gonna rub it into the backs of my hands like this, and then I take it and I rub it into the fronts of my hands. And because it's not really an oil, I don't know what an elixir is. It feels to me like a serum, but I feel like it's kind of taking the edge off of that dryness for me during the day without making my hands greasy, like some hand creams do. Like with some hand creams, I feel like my hands are greasy for 5 to 10 minutes after using them. This one, it soaks in pretty quickly. It smells in a way that I really like because it smells very natural, but it's uplifting and it seems perfect for the winter. So how has this tiny makeup bag held its own? Well, there are definitely days when I noticed the absence of certain products or tools that I wish I had had, but at the same time, I didn't feel suffocated. Paring things down to this has shown me just how many jobs one product can do when given the space to shine. For me, this has been a helpful reminder that looking good, having choices, and enjoying makeup doesn't always require constant expansion. Using what I already have and learning how to get more range out of it felt calmer and more satisfying than constantly chasing something new. It's a feeling I want to definitely keep exploring in the new year. Have you ever limited your options like this on purpose, whether it was for a trip or a move or just to see how it felt? If so, send me a flower emoji in the comments to let me know. And if you feel like it, I would love to hear your experiences with a pared down makeup bag. If you enjoy beauty content that's willing to find a spark of newness in old makeup as well as new releases, then please like, comment, say hi in the comments, and maybe check out this video here. Thanks for hanging out, and to all of my patrons and channel members, including my Adagio angels, for making slower content like this possible. I hope we can all remember that even stumbling is a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.